All right, let's dive right into this explainer. We're looking directly at a massive fault line where digital law, tech infrastructure, and geopolitics completely collide. Specifically, the friction generated by Canada's Artificial Intelligence and Data Act, or AIDA. So what actually happens when aggressive national tech regulation meets the immovable force of global technology infrastructure? Well, as we're going to see today, it creates a massive game of chicken. I've packed this breakdown with a ton of granular details straight from our sources, so I highly recommend you pause and zoom in on these slides as we go to capture it all.
Here's the roadmap for today. We're running through the regulatory collision course, geofencing as a corporate shield, Canada's infant AI ecosystem, the structural choke points, the legacy data trap, and finally, the asymmetric innovation burden. Let's hit it.
Part 1. The regulatory collision course. This is exactly where law meets tech infrastructure.
Digital law experts like Professor Michael Geist have really flagged Canada's aggressive approach here. Look at this number, up to 3 to 5% of gross global revenue. That is a catastrophic financial risk. And the absolute key word there is global. AIDA doesn't just threaten a fine on revenue generated within Canada, it ties penalties to a company's worldwide income. So for a U.S. tech giant operating out of compliance in the relatively small Canadian market suddenly risks a massive percentage of their entire global operation.
Which leads us right into part 2, geofencing as a corporate shield, effectively severing the jurisdiction.
Now, geofencing is not some kind of corporate tantrum. It is a highly calculated legal off-ramp. By blocking Canadian IP addresses and APIs, the digital pipelines connecting all this software, a U.S. company can confidently walk into an international court and argue they simply no longer operate in the Canadian market. If they refuse to submit to AIDA's vetting process, this engineering choice effectively turns off the valve at the border, totally starving Canadian regulators of any legal standing to audit their global operations.
Moving on to part 3, Canada's infant AI ecosystem. It's really an industry in incubation. You see, Canada's AI sector is full of brilliant startups, academic hubs, and digital strategists. But here's the massive vulnerability. Almost none of these domestic players operate entirely independently. Because local innovators rely so heavily on external infrastructure, they are completely exposed. If U.S. tech giants decide the regulatory risk is too high and pull that geofencing trigger, the Canadian market is left out in the cold.
All right, part 4. The structural choke points. We're talking foundation models and compute.
I really recommend pausing here to contrast this because the gap is wild. You have U.S. hyperscalers who outright own the foundation models in cloud infrastructure and possess the capital to build custom LLMs. Meanwhile, Canadian startups are deeply dependent on those API pipelines and U.S. clouds. They just do not have the hundreds of millions of dollars required to build these systems from scratch.
The scale of this reliance is absolutely staggering. Canadian developers build their apps directly on top of U.S. pipelines, using OpenAI's GPT, Anthropic's Claude, and Google's Gemini. Plus, the physical AI hardware, the GPUs, and the hyperscale cloud networks like Amazon AWS, Microsoft Azure, and Google Cloud, they're overwhelmingly American. If geofencing blocks Canadian access to these servers, local startups basically lose their entire core infrastructure overnight.
Okay, part 5, the legacy data trap, retroactive vetting for high-impact systems.
Imagine a Canadian digital strategy firm using a pipeline that relies on a U.S. LLM, and that U.S. model was trained on allegedly scraped data before AIDA even existed. Under the proposed rules, a domestic innovator can't just point the finger at their U.S. provider. If their system crosses the threshold of affecting things like employment or public discourse within Canada, the compliance burden falls entirely on the Canadian firm. They have to vet it themselves.
This creates a literally grueling operational reality. Step 1 forces startups to basically audit the unauditable. They somehow need to verify the data provenance of a closed-sourced American model that they don't even own. And if they can't prove that underlying model is clean, Step 2 kicks in, forced re-engineering. They have to completely rip out their core infrastructure and rebuild from scratch with transparent models. Just think about the time and cost involved there.
Which brings us to the final piece, part 6. The asymmetric innovation burden. The bottom line. As the sources point out, the government's protective intent here is clear. They want to protect local culture and data, but the practical outcome is severely asymmetrical. U.S. tech giants have the capital and the alternative markets to just fence Canada out. The unintended consequence? The infant Canadian ecosystem gets totally isolated from global tools, and the regulatory burden falls heaviest on the local innovators. So, instead of building next-gen tech, domestic companies are draining their limited capital on complex compliance audits.
So, I want to leave you with this provocative thought. How can an instant ecosystem possibly survive when its regulatory shield inadvertently becomes its structural cage? What happens when a well-intentioned digital law ends up starving the exact innovators it's trying to govern?
These are the massive, interlocking challenges at the heart of this collision. If you want to dig deeper into the granular details of this explainer, and there's a lot, as you can probably tell by the www.samail.inc watermark on all these pages, head over to our newly launched website at www.samail.inc. You'll find all the contents of this explainer there, plus tailored documents and reports you can plug directly into your own projects. You can also inquire for pricing and custom reports at info@samail.biz. Make sure to subscribe to our new YouTube channel at Samail_Inc. and listen to us wherever you get your audio. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Castro, Podbean, Audible, the whole shebang. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and we'll catch you next time.